Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to League Racing TV here for round number 6 of the CTC Console Championship. My name is, of course, Mike, and I was going to be taking you through the action here tonight. And what a track we go racing at. Of course, it is a Canadian Grand Prix. The circuit is Jules Villeneuve, and let's have a little look at the track in question. Of course, the 4.3 kilometer, 2.7 mile circuit in length, 3 DRS zones, and of course, plenty of chicanes where it can get a little bit tasty, especially into our final chicane of 13 and 14, also known as the World Champions chicane. Of course, we've seen many great races in the past. Who could ever forget 2011? Of course, Jenson Button doing an absolute madness after a very chaotic race. And of course, weather can play a very key factor here also. We never know if we're going to get any changeable conditions. And of course, strategy is going to be interesting. Of course, historically, this has been one of the tracks where the two-stop strategy has always been a very good strategy around here. So it's going to be an interesting one. Obviously, the split in the strategies, who's going to go for the one stop, who's going to go for the two, we will find out who's been putting their practice in. And time penalties is definitely going to be something to keep on the absolute minimum. It is so easy to pick up the time penalties. Of course, the chicanes and where we are going to be having a little gander at the for penalties is, of course, the final chicane at 13-14. The chicane in turns 3 and 4, 6 and 7 as well, where you can pick up a nice 3 second. And of course, at the end of the DRS straight in sector 2, that is another area where we will be seeing some 3 second warnings at, of course, turn 8 and turn 9. Of course, the 3 DRS zone is going to provide a lot of overtaking action down that back straight, heading into the final chicane, down the start finish straight, as well as the run in towards turn 8 and 9. So it's going to be a track where, as long as you are staying within DRS, you are going to be doing a good job. You just got to keep it penalty free and hope other people around you start making the mistakes and you can capitalize on them. And we're going to see what is going to happen in that particular fashion here tonight. But before we even move on in towards qualifying, I believe we are still waiting for a few people to jump into the lobby. Quick shout out to our sponsors, of course, first and foremost at Pivot Media, the marketing agency offering all graphics and video designers to elevate your brand or business. Check out their X in the description down below. And of course, Virtual Setup Engineer, of course, the brand new setup shop for all your setup needs. They're offering setups for all the tracks plus the custom chat box, so you can customize your setup to your driving style, and of course to Gridfinder as well, with the advertising that we saw earlier with the video. Well, guys, of course, last week it was Baku, the sprint race, obviously the first one of the season. We don't know if we're going to get any more sprint races, but I'm assuming we may. We may, potentially. But yeah, Baku sprint race, it was an interesting race. Of course, in the sprint race, we saw Volokongan come out on top with Alex Marciano in second place and Kevin Zumberg completing the podium. But it was very different when we got to the main race, the feature race, where of course we saw a Shazoo 1-2 at the top, with Dirk taking the victory ahead of Volokongan in second place, Alex Marciano completing the podium lineup there. And of course, what that has done in terms of the championship, if we have a little look over right there, it means Shazoo Cedar Igniters have a lead of 43 points to their nearest rivals in ET8 esports. Of course, TF10 currently in P3 on 99 points, just shy of the 100 point mark right now on 99 points. They're in third, and they are 7 points ahead of Evolution Racing. EVR there in fourth on 92 points. 49 points for Legacy Racing. LR in P5 with All Elite Racing Team in sixth place on 35 points. 30 points for Alien Motorsport in 7th. Azuri Esports in 8th place on 28 points. And then, of course, we have Bravo Racing Club in 9th on 21 points, tied on points with Ground Effect Spec Racing, who, of course, bring up the rear in 10th place. But a very interesting battle there in P9, P10, and, of course, the battle for the top three as well. Definitely going to be an interesting one. It's going to be interesting to see if ET8 can turn this around. Of course, Shazoo have had a couple of good results recently, which has led them to build the gap at the front. And now it's time to see if ET8 or the likes of TF10 or Evolution Racing, see if they got what it takes to respond. Well, let's find out with the driver lineups here for tonight. It is, of course, for Shazoo, it is Tony Reish and Dirk in for them tonight, with ETA coming through with Lifeboat and Ryder Dahl. Alien Motorsport coming in with Rev Rob and, of course, Ivan. Evolution Racing Team coming through with Schumacher and KJ8944. TF10 Esports coming through with Tiago and Ticho. Now, of course, Bravo Racing Club coming through with Vanarundi, and, of course, S95 Dome. All Elite Racing Team coming through with Gideon and, of course, Julian. Azuri Esports coming through with Daniel and Justin. Ground Spec, GSR Esports there with RWB and, of course, Medal, and then, of course, Legacy Racing coming through with Leora and Typical. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking at the lobby right now, and we are missing a couple of drivers. I'm just looking to see who we are missing right now. Of course, we do appear to be missing Leora from Legacy Racing, and just having a little gander, and I believe, okay, we got both Ground Effect drivers in. We got both All Elite Racing in. Bravo Racing Club. Yeah, so we're missing both of the Bravo Racing Club drivers and, of course, Leora for Legacy Racing, which is unfortunate. Hopefully they can get themselves in ASAP in qualifying ahead of the race. Of course, we don't know what is coming next in the calendar. Of course, we know we're calendar here tonight, but we have no idea what is coming next. We will find out, though, at some point. I can assure you of that. And, of course, a quick reminder of the point system coming in tonight. Of course, 22 points for the race win, 18 points for second place, 15 points for third, 12 points for fourth, 11 points for fifth, and it goes down in increments of 1 all the way down to 15th place, where you pick up that one solitary point. There is, of course, a point as well for the fastest lap in the race, and, of course, the fastest lap in qualifying. The pole position point will be up for grabs as well. Of course, back into normal proceedings, where we will be having our full qualifying session. And without further ado, I think we head over to the track, because while there's no drivers out on track at this moment in time, qualifying is underway. So there we go. The 7 drivers that are in, the 17 drivers that are in tonight. Of course, it means that unless we get the Bravo Racing Club drivers and Leroy in ASAP, it'll be the bottom 2 who get knocked out here in Q1. So as long as you make it into the top 15, you are sitting pretty for Q2. However, around a circuit like this, where it's such a short track, short lap, of course, we're looking at probably a 1 minute 8, I'd say 1 minute 8 lap times in terms of qualifying. It's going to be interesting to see just how many drivers are actually going to go out there on multiple runs here in Q1. I imagine there may be some that might risk it on a set of the Inters just to get themselves rubbed in and a little bit of an eye in on the track in question. But I can't imagine we're going to get many laps coming in here in Q1, unless of course you are down towards the back. And yeah, you were seeing right there, obviously Medal on the set of Inters, Typical on the set of Inters, Tiago on Inters, and Ticho, the only man out on track right now, and he's opted for a set of the wet compound tyres, which I don't really mind. I don't mind a bit of that right there from the TF10, man. Of course, he is definitely going to be looking to just do a couple of laps, try and build the confidence, get your eye in, and then switch over to the dry tyres towards the end of the session. And of course, we are going to go on a full lap with Ticho once he begins his flying lap. That is for sure. We come through the hairpin now. Gonna ride on board with Ticho. And we're gonna give him the full screen as well. So, coming through the final chicane, trying to look for a good run out of the final corner as best as he can get on the full wet compound tyres down in towards turn number 1. Braking and throwing the car through in third gear, trying to hook up turn number 2 where traction is going to be crucial on the exit. Now into the chicane at turns number 3 and 4. Very easy to pick up an invalidation there, but Ticho keeps it in the limits right now. In towards turn number 6 and 7. Mounting the inside curve to really help rotate it slightly, ready for the exit out of 7. And now with DRS wide open, heading down into the chicane of turns 8 and 9. Again, very easy just to run a little bit through there and pick up an invalidation and track limits. So people are going to have to keep their eyes out on that one. Into the hairpin now. And again, traction going to be so crucial for absolutely every driver out there on track as you look for the best exit possible with DRS wide open now. And you'll be seeing drivers using a bit of their battery in the race down this back straight in the hopes of trying to make a move before the final chicane, as it is one detection point for both of these DRS zones, and Ticho across the line. It's a 1:17.0 there for the TF10 man, and guess the lap times underway here. As we got Medal coming through on the set of Inters, this should be a quicker lap. Inters versus the wets, and we'll see. Yet Medal there 3 seconds quicker, but these times right now mean absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things. Just making sure you have something on the board and just making sure that you don't bin it in the wall. That's all these guys gotta do, is just get something on the board and keep it out of the walls. Tiago just starting his lap, but we do have a soft runner in KJ coming to the line. And I don't think he was pushing on his lap right there, as Ivan goes on provisional pole with a 14.2 on the set of the Inters. KJ, very interesting that he's gone out on the set of the softs. And then of course we got Vanarundi there in the Haas. So it is actually one of the Bravo Racing Clubs that is here. So I must have not seen Vano on in the lobby. I was positive there was no Bravo Racing Club representative, but there is. So we're missing the second driver from Bravo Racing Club, as well as the second driver from LR, and just having a quick glance around. And I think we're missing Justin's teammate as well in the RB. As KJ improves on his lap, a 10.2 for him. Vanarundi through the final chicane, keeping it all valid in the Haas. Bravo Racing Club driver to the line It's a 9.7 from him. As we got RWB coming to the line now for the final chicane. He'll come on the set of the soft compound tyres. He's deployed all of his battery to the line. It's a 9.5 from him. I am expecting the front runners to be in the 8s off the bat here in qualifying. So we'll have to see what happens here as we got Tony Reich on a lap right now. So let's go ahead and jump on board with Tony. Of course, the Suzuki Igniters driver brushing the wall on the exit, the first chicane. 19.2 first sector for him. DRS wide open as we head down in towards turns 8 and 9. Fantastic there as we head into the hairpin with Tony. Purple middle sector for him, but is it purple overall? That is the question. 10 minutes remaining in Q1 here, and of course we've got a bit of a mix going on with those on the set, the wet compound tyres, and those on the dry, and that is Tony invalidating, taking just a little too much speed through the final chicane. It would have been an 8.7 for him, but unfortunately for him, suffers with the invalidation here on his opening run. Dirk, his teammate, middle sector, 41.3 in the middle sector for Dirk. They're hoping to just get one lap in and then get out. Absolutely no issues whatsoever, but for Tony Reich, he's going to have to do another run. Dirk through the final chicane, keeps it valid, and here comes Dirk now to the line, and it's a 9.2 from Dirk. So if I was to predict a cut-off point for Q1, I would actually probably say a 9.2, maybe a 9.3 is probably going to be the cut-off. Potentially, just because we've got so many drivers that have done a slow lap so far. I might be completely off. I might be absolutely completely off with this prediction. Maybe I won't be right in that, but we'll have to wait and see as the drivers are coming out now on their soft runs. Obviously, 8.5 minutes remaining in the session. And I'm just going to bring up Discord 2 seconds just so I can see what is going on in the chats, etc. And then we will be back on the full screen in just a moment's time, guys. Bear with me as we bring that up. Right, lovely. So yeah, we are missing Daniel from Azuri Esports, Leora from Legacy Racing, and S95 Dome from Bravo Racing Club. So they're the 3 drivers that we're missing thus far. Hopefully they will get in at some point in qualifying and be here for the race. 11 lap times are on the board. Rev Rob, unfortunately, out of the session. I'm not sure if it was a retirement in the pit lane or whether or not a penalty was being served. I'll have to have a little look at some point. I don't think I saw a yellow flag out on track, so we'll have to see. And here comes Lifeboat now to start his flying lap, coming down in towards turn number 1. ET8 need a big result here against Shazoo to get themselves back in the championship fight, as we see one of the Saubers, I believe that was either Schumacher or KJ there, out of the first couple of corners, really dropping the car on the exit of turn 2, but Lifeboat purple sector 1. On the teetering edge of track limits right there was Lifeboat coming through the chicane of turns 8 and 9, and that definitely could have been a validation right there, but he has managed to get away with it. So he's got away with that one, and now he's got to focus on one more braking zone, one more chicane, the Wall of Champions. Will he navigate it without any issues? Throws the car in. ERS, DRS on the exit to the line. Will come Lifeboat. As a 9.3 from Lifeboat. Maybe I was mistaken then in terms of what I predicted was the cut-off point. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, a lot of drivers are yet to set a competitive lap time. Dirk has retired from the session. And there's Thiago, 9.1. So we're getting close to the 1 minute 8. Of course, around a track like this, the gaps are going to be so small in terms of the qualifying time. So we could be seeing the entire grid within a second of each other, which will be a very close qualifying indeed. Tony Reich 40.8 in the middle sector. So it's looking at a good lap here from the Shazoo Cedar Igniters driver. Coming up to the final chicane, throws the car in, keeps it valid this time. Does Tony Reich. Now to the line he'll come. Is this going to be... It's going to be a 1 minute 8.5. What a lap. 6/10 clear of the rest of the field. And surely Tony Reich is going to be happy with that lap time. And he'll come into the pits. And that will be his qualifying session over and done with. And Justin unfortunately validated on his run. Ivan on a out lap. Ryder Dahl getting ready to go for ET8 through the final chicane. And let's see what the ET8 man can do. His teammate currently up in P5. Ryder Dahl is going to be hoping he can get himself well within the top 10. Thiago out of the session, and that is him done for Q1. Ryder Dahl middle sector split coming up. It's a 41 flat, so about 2/10 off of Tony Reich's middle sector. And Ryder Dahl there, an 8.9, and he'll be very happy with that one. And that is probably going to be safe enough for him to get through into the Q2 session. I'm just going to double check to make sure that we are back live here. Unfortunately, guys, my PC decided to crash just then, so I've had to reload everything, and which is annoying. But we will try to get ourselves back in qualifying as soon as possible. I can only apologize, guys. We will try to get ourselves back in as soon as possible, guys. I do apologize for the stream disconnecting. Well, I mean, it's disconnecting to the PC. Having an absolute mare right there. Hopefully, we get another invite and get ourselves back in ASAP. And in fact, I will try to get that sorted right now. Right, there we go. Okay, well, from the looks of it, looks like the guys are in Q2 right now, so we did miss the end of Q1, unfortunately. Okay, right. Okay, right, so we got the game up, lovely stuff, and okay, right, we should be back and sorted now. Let me know in the stream chat if any audio is buggy, etc. Just let me know. So, in terms of the drivers that we have lost, I believe we lost Rev Rob, and of course we lost Julian as well. So there we go. Like the two drivers that we lost was one from All Elite Racing Team and of course one from Alien Motorsport. The rest of the field did get through. I'm not sure what the cutoff was in the chat. I believe it was said that potentially it was a 1 minute 10 cutoff, which not what I predicted. Obviously, I predicted much much better in terms of the cutoff point. But yeah, we are back in, guys. We are trying our best to pick up where we left off, as we got Dirk obviously on an invalid run. But we're going to see what this lap time would have been from the Shazoo man, and it would have been an 8.5. Chicho for TF10 coming through the final chicane. Tiago there with a 9.3. Ticho's definitely had a moment there with an 11.1. The line will come medal, and there's a 10 flat from him. Dirk's on an invalid run. Typical's on an out lap. We got Ivan coming through the middle sector now, as we got KJ, who's a little bit further along. So we'll stay on board with KJ coming through the final chicane now for Evolution Racing Team. To the line he'll come. 10.2. I'm expecting a lot of these times to be done on scrub set of tyres. Oh, very close. And yeah, Tony Reich has backed off of that. He's not happy with the way that his car responded there on the curb, hitting the wall on the exit of turn 4. But Ivan through the final chicane taps the wall on the exit, the wall of the champions. But to the line he'll come, goes up into P3. Schumacher gonna fly into the pit lane, and I believe Gittens on his lap. We'll see what's going on in the middle sector, but he's looking a little bit out of shape right now, coming through that chicane. 41.8 for him. This is going to be in and around the likes of Medal and KJ, I'm going to say, for Gitten. Through the front chicane he comes now, keeps it all valid thankfully. To the line, the Ferrari pops it P7. Typical invalidated on his lap, and of course now we're in a bit of a calm phase of qualifying, where I'm expecting a lot of the guys to come flying back into the pit lane, put on a fresh set of tyres, and then go out towards the end of the session and see what they can do. Like I said, I was expecting a lot of scrub tyres going on for this lap, as it looks like Typical is just going to make sure he gets a delta on the board, which is fair enough for him, as Lifeboat and Dirk are the first two on the out laps. Are WB in behind as well. Tony Reich though is a 1 minute 8.4 for him, and that is looking ominous for the rest of the field. Very ominous indeed. Looks like Shazoo Cedar Igniters looking in strong form to potentially go for the pole position point and maybe try to eke out the double podium as they have done in recent weeks. But Dirk starting his lap now, coming through turn number 1 in towards turn number 2, keeping the car nice and hooked up and decent on the throttle on exit. Into the chicane at 3 and 4, throwing the car through and making sure he does not clip too much of the wall on exit. Through turn 5 now, in towards turn number 6 and 7. Car not sliding on exit, which is ideal for Dirk. DRS wide open now, in towards 8 and 9. Again, throwing the car through, not too much of the exit curve being taken, which of course is where you're going to be invalidating now. In towards the hairpin, big lock up at the rears there for Dirk, and that might have just hindered his run out of the hairpin as we head down towards the 13-14 chicane, the final chicane on the circuit, the wall of champions. Dirk not touching the wall, which is good for him. To the line he'll come, and it's an 8.7 from the Shazoo man. As I believe we have a Lifeboat, the next man to cross the line. In fact, no, it was going to be RWB, I believe, across the line. And it doesn't look like it's an improvement, so he may have invalidated there, but lifeboat, 9 flat for him. Pops himself up in the P3. He's going to be hoping that that is enough. And yet, RWB did indeed invalidate through the final chicane, which is unfortunate for him. Medal, though, his teammate, coming through now. Throwing the car in. DRS wide open. ERS to the line. 9.3 up in the P5 he goes. KJ about to get his lap underway. We've got Ticho, who is over a second up on his lap time. To the line will come Ticho now. What's it going to be for the TF10 man? He's up in the P4. 9 flat for him. Thiago just starting his lap, so we'll come back on board with him a little bit later. RWB into the pit lane. 3 drivers yet to set a lap time. Justin, Typical, and Rydell. And then we got 3 drivers going to be looking to make big improvements. One of them we are on board with right now in KJ for Evolution Racing Team. He's currently down in P11, up by 3 tenths in the middle sector, which is enough to get him ahead of RWB, but I don't think it's going to be enough to get himself into Q3. He's definitely got to find more time here in the final chicane. And he's bound a little bit of time, but is it enough? It's a 0.6. He gets himself ahead of Ivan, so he puts Ivan under a bit of pressure now. Both of the Shazoo drivers are happy with their lap time, and they are done for the session. I tell you what, I think my 9.3 of cut-off in Q1, I think that might be the cut-off here in Q2. Just because I'm predicting Rydell and Typical to improve massively up the order. But to the line will come Justin, and he'll pop it into 7th for a 9.1. Randy in getting into gear right now is the Bravo Racing Club driver, about to get his lap underway. It's currently in P9, a 1 minute 9.4. Needs to find more time. He's seen what some of the other drivers have done. Needs to find a few tenths if he wants to put himself in position to try and survive and get into Q3. Needs around about 2 tenths to get himself ahead of a medal, but definitely going to need 2.5 tenths, I'm going to say, minimum, if he wants to make sure that he gets into Q3. So I'm predicting Rydell and Typical to get themselves in and amongst the top 5 in terms of lap time, so top 7 I should say, in terms of lap time. So it's going to make that final spot very unpredictable. And Vanarandi has unfortunately invalidated on his lap time, and that is his session. Not over and done with, but under big pressure now. Rydell middle sector split, a 40.8 for the ET8 driver. The top 5 retired from the session. They are happy with their laps. As we got 10 drivers all flying it out for 5 spots. But here comes Rydell to the line. He'll come. And he's up in the P2. A 1 minute 8.5 for him. Splitting the Shazoo drivers. And definitely going to be one to keep an eye on. in Q3, that is for sure. I believe Randy is going and pushing on his lap. Yes, he's 4 tenths up. This could be a big lap here from the Bravo Racing Club driver. He's running out of ERS. He needs to make sure that he does not outbrake himself into the final chicane. Really attacking the final chicane is Van Orundi, and to the line he'll come. And he goes up in the P4 medal now on the button. Ivan going to get his lap underway in just a moment's time. Typical. He's on a flying lap. Giddens not on a flying lap. But RWB just starting his flying lap. But yeah, we're going to stay on board with Typical here. Coming through the final chicane. For Legacy Racing, here comes Typical to the line. And it's a 9.1 from Typical. And this is where he is now in big trouble because he is on the button. He needs to make sure that no one else is improving in behind him. As the checker flag is out, KJ is not going to improve on his lap time. As we'll see RWB now coming to the line first, and then we'll have Ivan to the line in behind. But RWB, will he get himself into the top 10? Yes, he does, up in the P6. What about Ivan? Ivan, 3 tenths up, needs to find more time though. And he goes into P10. Medal improving on his lap time. Giddens is out of his session. So all eyes are now on Medal. Can Medal knock Ivan out of Q3? Typical has been knocked out of Q3, but what can Medal do for the final chicane? And he's invalidated. Medal, unfortunately for him, out in Q2. The invalidation has come back to haunt them. And by 5 thousandths of a second, Alien Motorsports Ivan gets himself into Q3 ahead of Justin for Azuri Esports. So run you through the order. It was, of course, Tony Reich that did get himself through first, with Rydell in second, Dirk in third, Rano Rundy in fourth, Lifeboat fifth, RWB in fifth, Ticho seventh, and of course Schumacher, Tiago, and Ivan complete the top 10 for the top 10 shootout. Our drivers eliminated in Q2 is Justin, Typical, Medal, KJ, and Gidden. Unfortunately for these 5, they're going to have to sit out and watch what transpires in the top 10 shootout, where of course we do have the point for pole position up for grabs. Tony Reich has topped the times in both sessions so far, but will it be 3 in a row for him? In fact, I'm not sure if he did top the times in Q1, because unfortunately my PC did crash on me, so I'm just assuming that he did. And you know what happens when we assume? Half of the time we're wrong. But ladies and gentlemen, Q3 time is here. Predictions in the chat. Let me know, what are you predicting for pole position? What will be the time that we are going to be seeing at the top of the session? Well, the first driver that's going to be setting the lap time will be Schumacher here in Q3 for Evolution Racing Team. His teammate knocked out in Q2, KJ, unfortunately for him. Of course, Ivan as well for Indian Motorsport also going to be going solo tonight. Same with Bravo Racing Club's Vano Rundy. And of course, Ground Effect Spec Racing's RWB. But through the final chicane will come Schumacher, and we will get Q3 underway now as we head down in towards turn number 1, throwing the car in third gear, keeping it nice and tight to the apex through turn 2. Now into turns 3 and 4, throwing the car through in 5th gear, riding the curb through turns 4, now going through turn 5 in towards turn number 6, 19.2 first sector split as we come on the exit of turn 7 on the ERS and DRS activate as we run down in towards the break-in for turn number 8 and 9. Throwing the car through, keeping it all valid is Schumacher as we look for the break-in at the hairpin. 41 flat middle sector split for him, but a big snap on the exit of the hairpin, and that just might cost him a bit of time as he'll not get the traction as smoothly down as he would have wanted, all the way down to the final break in here into the 13-14 chicane. And oh, he's just hit too much of that inside curve, and that has absolutely destroyed his lap, and it was a 1 minute 8.5 in the end, so a nice delta to have on the board, but unfortunately it is not going to matter. Durgo looks like he's had a bit of a moment coming through the final chicane, and his lifeboat that tops the times right now. As Thiago is the next driver who has kept it valid out there on track, so we'll see. But oh, just a little nudge on the exit in the wall of champions, and it's a 9.2. Vano Rundy, Sector 1, 19.5, but we did see his back end stepping out just a few times, and again a little twitch on the exit, and that is not ideal as we come through turns 8 and 9. With the hairpin we'll go, and now on the ERS, on the DRS, all the way down into the final chicane. There's definitely time in this lap, so Vano Rundy will be looking at that going into his next lap. But he's going to cross the line. It's going to be a 9.5 for the Bravo Racing Club driver. Ivan now to the line. .5 from him. ETH rider Dal will be the next driver to get a lap on the board, and we'll see what will happen here. Of course, a fantastic lap in Q2. Put himself on an 8.5, 1/10 of Tony Arisha's lap time, but can he go better here in Q3, where it matters? We're about to find out. .9 in the first sector, purple first sector indicated right there. But is it a purple first sector for the entire session? I think it just might be at the moment. As we got Tony Reich in behind as well. I believe he's on a lap, or it might be Tony Reich just in front of him actually. And this could potentially help Ryder Dahl, because he will have a little bit of a tow, possibly, down the long straight. And no, okay, no tow there for Ryder Dahl, but he's going to have to focus up now on the final chicane. It's all valid for him as he crosses the line. And it's an 8.6 from him. But there is Tony Reich, unfortunately. Yeah, I believe he's just getting his... No, he's just unfortunately invalidated. And it was an 8 flat there from Tony Reich. So that was Dirk that was up ahead, who, of course, got out of the way of Ryder Dahl. But Tony Reich, and 1 minute 8 flat, but it was invalidated. Here comes Ticho. 9 flat for him. Schumacher invalidated. Dirk, 2 tenths, well, around about a tenth and a bit off of what Ryder Dahl did in sector 1. .8 in sector 2 for Dirk. So we go now to the line. Lifeboat improves as a 1 minute 8.4. But what can Dirk do? Dirk, and he goes on provisional pole at 1 minute 8.40. Free for him. Tony Reich into the pit lane. He's going to put on a fresh set and try and get back out there ASAP. But the gauntlet has been laid by Shazoo's Dirk. You want pole position? You're going to need a 0.3 at least. Schumacher will cross the line. And it's an 8.6, but it's invalidated. Now, if I was Schumacher, because he was invalidated for a while, I would have just come into the pits and tried to put on a fresh set of tyres, because I mean he's got a minute to get back to the pits, and then obviously potentially he could get another lap in, but it's going to be close. It's going to be close, guys. Obviously, it's going to be even worse for him if he's run out of fuel, because I think that is exactly what has happened right there with Schumacher. Yes, it is. He has run out of fuel. Ivan will be the first man to set a final lap time here in qualifying. As we got just under 2 minutes to go in the session. Interesting, Ivan is actually not going for a fast lap. He's elected to do another cool down lap. I think Schumacher might be done in terms of the session, unless he can get out on fresh tyres right now, which I think he can't. Oh, it's going to be very close actually. But he's going to have to absolutely push it on the track limits to get around. And no, there we go, it's gone. It is gone. I don't think Schumacher's going to get a lap in. But we're on board with Vano Arundi now, coming through the chicane. Coming to the middle sector split now. the Bravo Racing Club driver. It's a 40.9, 6 times improvement. This will get him into the 1 minute 8. But he needs a good release as he's got a few cars up ahead who are on their outlaps. So he snags a little bit of DRS slipstream down in towards the final chicane, and there's some validation there from Van Orundi, and that is his lap absolutely done in the box, as it looks like Dirk and Tony Reich will be trying to get their laps in synchronized simultaneously. Schumacher, I mean, the session's over for Schumacher right now. There was no way he was going to get around, and yeah, he's absolutely done. So the checker flag is out. Schumacher, nothing that he was able to do. He ran out of fuel. He should have came into the pits instead of completing an invalidated lap time, but he will be starting from P10. Ticho though, coming through now, the final chicane. Checker flag is out as, oh, big snap, and he collides with the wall, but what can Ticho do? As he does improve by a 10.5, as we got RWB to the line. 9.1 from him. Ivan. Lifeboat to the line as well. Thiago, and he's invalidated. Heartbreak for him. Van Orundi, of course, also invalidated. As we got Rydal coming through the final chicane. And there's an invalidation there. Tony Reich though. A 1 minute 8.3. And Rydal invalidated a 1 minute 8.3. As the session is done with, it is Shazoo Cedars Igniters who take the pole position point with Tony Reich, and it is an all Shazoo front row with an all ET8 second row. Well, let's go ahead and run you through the result inside the top 10 shootout. It was, of course, Tony Reich for Shazoo taking pole position and that pole position point ahead of his teammate Dirk, who will join him on the front row. ET8's Lifeboat and Rydal will share the second row in third and fourth. Then, of course, we got the TF10 driver of Ticho in fifth, with RWB for ground effect in sixth, Thiago in seventh, Ivan in eighth, and then of course we got Vano Orundi in ninth, and Schumacher, who will be starting from P10 in the race. Well, ladies and gentlemen, a very interesting qualifying session, that is for sure, as it was a Shazoo front row lockout in the end. Rydal though, I mean, what could have been? What could have been? He was on to kind of be there or thereabouts with Tony Reich's lap time in the end, but the question will be, was he slightly put off by Dirk? That will be the question. As I'm not sure what will happen in the race, but I'm expecting obviously the Shazoo team tactics. I mean, we have seen them work well as a team. Of course, one driver will be able to hold off the field and help the other driver maintain a 1-2 standing in the race. So we've seen them work very well together. Is on ET8 now as a parent to try and break that up and get off to a good start, as well as we'll just head over to the race just to make sure that we are sorted and we are there for the 5 red lights. And I don't think we are having a lobby restart. Of course, the only reason there would be a lobby restart is because of my PC crashing. I haven't seen anything with regards to a restart. So hopefully everyone is sorted in that regard. We just got the word now to ready up, and we will be going racing in just a moment's time. Of course, 35 laps of the circuit. Gilles Villeneuve awaits these 17 drivers. As we are still waiting for the drivers to ready up. They have been given the go-ahead to ready up though, so I'm not sure. Not sure what the hold up is, and here we go. Okay, to the 3, 4, 5 red lights. And we are lights out and underway here in Canada, as it's a very good start there from Tony Reich, and of course Dirk holding that P2, making sure that the ET8 pairing cannot get through. Of course, the strategies are split with the ET8 pairing. And Lifeboat, the only one in the field that started on the hard compound tyre. So a very interesting strategy change right there, as Julian has gone for a bit of a spin early on. Heartbreak for him at the start of this race. As we got Vano Arundi and Typical battling it out for P10, and Typical gets through. Rev Rob up the order, as well as Justin is plummeting positions as he drops down to P15. Tries to outbrake Medal, going around the outside. Medal, slight little touch on the rear of KJ's car, but everyone is line astern as they are. Tony Reich leading the way ahead of his teammate in second place. Then, of course, we got Ryderdal in P3. His teammate Lifeboat in P4. Ticho for TF10 in P5. RWB in P6 with Thiago in P7. Ivan in P8. Schumacher in P9, and Typical rounding out the top 10 with Vano Rundy in 11th, Rev Rob in 12th, KJ in 13th, Medal in 14th, and Justin in 15th. But we're seeing the gap form already, as the top 4 have broken out of DRS range on Ticho here on the lap 2. So we may see the top 4 just cruise away now from the rest of the field, as there's a lot of battery that has been used by all these guys at the front. Ticho, he hasn't used that much in comparison. RWB has definitely used a decent amount, as the first 3 seconds of the evening goes away a Typical, and he's immediately joined by Justin there, as Medal gets through on KJ up in the P13. He'll go for Ground Effect Spec Racing up the order, ahead of the Evolution Racing driver. Of course, now the top 4 have managed to get away. It's important for Lifeboat to stay within DRS of these guys up ahead to make sure that he does not lose hand over fist here. And from personal experience of driving around Canada, the hard tyres generally are a pretty good race tyre to be on. As long as you can stick with these medium runners for the first 7 laps and that, then you should be sitting quite pretty. But Lifeboat can't afford to keep doing stuff like that. Of course, that will put him under pressure. Ivan now falling out of DRS range on Thiago. So we're seeing another little split happen in the midfield. And Ivan needs to get himself back within the 1 second. He's just on the teetering edge of it. Needs a good chicane here. And he's back within the 1 second window. Of course, following in the wake of the car ahead, the understeer is going to be a major point of concern. As in fact, Ivan unfortunately did not get DRS. He just did not get the run that he needed, and neither did Schumacher on Ivan. So KJ picked himself up a 3-second time penalty as well in the back. The splits are happening. Rev Rob putting Vanarundi under pressure, but to no avail. Back up towards the front. Dirk getting a pretty slow exit out of the final chicane, and that just allowed Tony Reich to really stretch his legs in front. But he's under no real pressure from Ryderdal in behind at this moment in the race. Typical really trying to put the pressure on Schumacher here for P9. And of course with Ivan now outside the DRS range on Thiago, he's just going to fall even further behind. So for the likes of Schumacher and Typical, if they believe they got the better pace, they need to get ahead and try to close the gap on these guys up ahead. Well, it's still a catchable gap. Rev Rob closing in on Vanarundi. Is he going to have a little look down the inside? Oh, he had a half glance down the inside, but he's going to try to look for a better exit. Doesn't really get it though. But with DRS, he is closing in. Up ahead, we're seeing Schumacher get through on Ivan. And now Typical will hope he can follow through. Ivan picking up a 3-second time penalty here on lap 6 of 35. As we're seeing Ryderdal closing in on Dirk. Coming through turn 6, 7 chicane, now in towards turn number 8 and 9. Of course, these guys are all sitting pretty on their ERS battery. Ticho, though, has had to use a bit to stay ahead of RWB here. And for Ticho, he's going to be hoping that Thiago can get the move done on RWB pretty soon. But Schumacher, since getting past Ivan, has brought that gap down quite considerably. And it is looking good for these guys if Schumacher is the lead car in this field. But the lack of DRS is really hurting Schumacher down the long straights, and we're going to have to see if we can close in enough through the corners. Thiago really trying to apply the pressure on RWB as Ticho is trying to open up the gap up ahead. As I believe at this point now, the hards are starting to come into play just a little bit. And RWB has lost out on DRS to Ticho, and that's going to allow Thiago now the opportunity to go for this overtake. Down the back straight, good traction on the exit. He's on the ERS, and now we'll look at the DRS being open and deployed. As here goes Thiago. He's not going to be close enough in towards the break-in. He's going to have to sit in behind RWB for the time being, but that was a missed opportunity there for Thiago to get the move done ASAP, and unfortunately for him, he's got to sit behind for another lap. Schumacher though goes from P8 down to P10 as both Typical and Ivan get through on him. Rev Rob up ahead of Van Arundi now as he's looking to climb through the order. Lap 8 of 35. Schumacher, 3-second time penalty for him as well. So as long as Rev Rob can stick with these guys in front, he will be jumping 3 positions due to the time penalties accumulated by the 3 in front. Rev Rob, is he going to try to break up this pack by here? He has shown some great overtaking thus far to get himself up into P11. But will he be willing to break up this DRS train to try and get the overtakes done? And that is Schumacher into the pits at the end of lap 8. Schumacher is in. What tyre compound is he going to go for? As, oh, Thiago and RWB, a little bit of contact as they come through turn number 2. And a whole lot of time has been lost there between these guys, as it looks like RWB getting a little bit out of shape, and that might just be the start of the downfall for RWB. Has he got wing damage, I wonder? No wing damage there. What about for Thiago? They both look like they got their front wings intact, but they've lost a lot of time to Ivan. Typical. Rev Rob now in behind. And of course Schumacher, who's gone for the undercut. He's going to be fancying his chances to climb up the order as he gets through on Julian in the back. Thiago needs to make this overtake happen now. Needs to get through on RWB as soon as possible. And in fact, he's into the pit lane. RWB into the pits at the end of lap 9 for him. But we are coming on to lap number 10. Is still Shazoo leading the way. A 1-2 at the moment with Tony Reich ahead of Dirk in second place. Then we got Ryderdal, who has picked himself up a 3-second time penalty in third. And then Lifeboat there in P4, going for the set of the hard compound tyres, which should be right now the better tyre to be on. Ticho ahead of his teammate Thiago in 5th and 6th. Of course, 3.5 seconds off the back of Lifeboat is Ticho, and 3 seconds behind is Thiago after the contact that happened with, of course, RWB, who is come out the pits, and he's immediately under pressure from Schumacher. So Schumacher's undercut has put him into that battle with the likes of Thiago and RWB. And of course, the longer the undercuts go on for, the potential that they catch up to Ticho is there as well. But Schumacher going to be looking to go for the overtake with DRS. Thiago is in. And I believe there's a possibility he comes out behind these two. But here goes Schumacher now with DRS. Gets the job done as Thiago and Justin are in the pit lane. And let's see where Thiago is. He's come out the pit lane now. Schumacher coming down the start from the straight in towards turn number 1. And yeah, Thiago will rejoin in behind the pair of them. So the undercut playing dividends there for not only Schumacher but for RWB as well. Back up towards the front as you got Ivan Rev Rob on the back of Typical here. I have a feeling we may see one of them dive into the pits, if not both of them. As Justin picks up a 3-second time penalty. Rydell, is he going to come into the pits this lap? Will any of the front runners come in? No, they all stay out for another lap. As Ticho is in. As Typical loses out to both of the Alien Motorsports drivers in Ivan and Rev Rob. As Ticho's actually... Oh, Ticho's lost a lot of time on that in that. My God. He's just going to come out just ahead of his teammate. But he's lost out to Schumacher and RWB here. The undercut absolutely powerful as always here at Canada. Schumacher now in a net P5 in this race. RWB in a net P6, net P7 for Ticho and a net P8 for Tiago here. As you'd imagine, they get the jump on the likes of Ivan, Rev Rob, Vanarundi, and of course Typical and Medal, who are of course battling out in the background. But let's see who will come into the pits from the front runners. Is Tony Reish in? I believe they should be fine from the undercut and hard runners in behind, but there could be a bit of traffic for these guys to deal with. Rev Rob and Medal into the pits along with Tony Reish, and in fact, it's going to be... I mean, Tony Reish is going to come out just ahead of Schumacher. But these guys are fighting in front, and Tony Reish is going to get held up here. Yeah, Tony Reish getting held up in the middle sector. A little bit of a tap there on the rear of Vanarundi. And Tony Reish does get through. And that's important for Tony Reish to make progress as quickly as possible. Schumacher there needs to get through on Vanarundi right now if he wants any hope of staying with the Suzuki driver, who's down the inside of Typical. And Schumacher going to try to go for the overtake on Typical. Typical does not have a DRS, so this should be an easy overtake as Tony Reish now leads the train as Ivan's into the pit lane. Schumacher picking up another 3-second time penalty. It's gone from bad to worse for Schumacher. And now, I think the likes of Dirk and Rydell are going to come out behind Schumacher here. As we're seeing these guys battling here, Typical and Vanarundi battling out, and they're holding up the likes of RWB, Ticho, Tiago, and Rev Rob is going to be trying to come through as quickly as possible. And there goes RWB and Ticho down the inside of Typical here. As we look on board with Tiago, lovely little switchback on the exit for Tiago. Gets the job done up in the P9 he goes. Vanarundi gets a lovely little front row seat to Ticho down the inside of RWB. And the job is done as Tiago is just going to follow through as well. As Rydell and Dirk are both into the pit lane. It's going to be interesting to see where they come out relative to the likes of Schumacher, Ticho, RWB and Tiago here. Schumacher for sure will get ahead of these guys as there they go down in towards turn number 1. Ticho, RWB and Tiago. Rydell gets the jump on Dirk in the pit lane. As Dirk there sending it on the inside of Rydell, but did he cross the white line to do so? That is an interesting one. I didn't quite see it, but there's potential that he did cross the right line there on the pit lane exit to send it down the inside of Rydell there. So everyone apart from Typical and Lifeboat has made their pit stops. Lifeboat is the only one that started on the set of the hard compound tyres. So he's going deep into this race. And now we got to see if the likes of Dirk and Ryderdal can make their way through. We will see if they're going to be able to make their way through. Typical now into the pit lane. And we will see as Dirk on the back of RWB now. He's got to look for this overtake down the inside. And it's going to be a job done for Dirk getting the move absolutely planted there. But as that opens things up here for Ryderdal, who finds a gap on the outside to follow Dirk through. Absolutely fantastic there from Ryderdal and Dirk to get the move done on RWB there. As Dirk committing to the inside line, getting the job done. And it just opened up enough of a gap on the outside for Ryderdal to follow suit as well. But now they come to the pairing. They come to the TF10 pairing of Thiago and Ticho. But it looks like Dirk will send one down the inside into the final chicane. Job done, and Ryderdal will follow through as well. So Dirk carving his way through, Ryderdal following in Dirk's footsteps here, and making quick work of the slower cars. I mean, I say slower cars. Obviously, they are there on merit right now in terms of their strategies and race pace, but slower in terms of where we saw these guys in the first stint. Tony Reich though closing in 3 seconds off the back now of Lifeboat, who has of course gone the opposite direction. He will be on the mediums come to the end of the race. And we'll see if Lifeboat is going to have the pace on the mediums to come back through at the end. Time will tell though. Lap 18 of 35. Lifeboat leads the way ahead of Tony Reich in second place. Schumacher currently in third, being hunted down by Ticho for TF10 in fourth. And then we got Dirk there in fifth, with Ryderdal in sixth, Thiago in seventh. And then in eighth we got RWB, who's had a very good race so far. Rev Rob has had a stellar race thus far. Of course, started from the back of the field, he's made his way into the top 10. He's having an absolutely fantastic race, and he's penalty free right now. So I mean, if any form of safety car comes out, Rev Rob is going to be absolutely loving life with all these penalties in front of him. Oh, Dirk, is that a little bit late? A bit of contact made there. Dirk going for the lunge down the inside, being aggressive and trying to get this overtake done. But was that just a little bit too late on the brakes there for Dirk? I wonder. As Lifeboat has been overtaken by Tony Reich for the race lead as well. So Tony Reich now in the race lead and a full pit stop ahead of Lifeboat. So it's going to be a very tough order for Lifeboat to get himself back into this. As of course we got discussions in the chat with regards to obviously Dirk going for the overtake on Ryderdal, and whether or not crossing the right lines was happening or not, and if it is allowed or not. Dirk gonna get through though on Schumacher now. Up into P3 goes Dirk. And Ryderdal looking to try and make sure that he can follow through on Dirk. Schumacher's actually going to fight this. Schumacher's going to fight this. He's going to stick on the ERS. He's going to stick with the DRS wide open, and he's going to make sure that he makes this as difficult as possible for Riederdal in behind. And Riederdal's going to have to send it now down into turn 1. Outbrakes Schumacher. Absolutely late on the brakes right there, and absolutely fantastic. Riederdal gets it stopped down to the corner, and yes, the car rotated just about in the nick of time before going off track, but Riederdal gets up now into P4, and crucially still within DRS range of Dirk up ahead. And now Dirk is going to come up to a lifeboat pretty soon. And it's going to be a case of how much is Lifeboat going to get the elbows out for Dirk here. Because Riederdal is going to be hoping that he can somehow get past Dirk with DRS. Either this or the next lap. Get clean past the likes of his teammate. And then hopefully Lifeboat for Riederdal can hold up Dirk enough that Riederdal can build up that 3-second gap that he needs in this race. And look at this, Ticho, and they went down the inside, but oh, contact made there with Schumacher and Ticho. And I think Ticho inspired by Riederdal there, and yeah, I think not ideal right there for the pair of them, as Ticho unable to replicate what Riederdal did. Contact was made between both Ticho and Schumacher. And Thiago has picked up the pieces, and he's gone through up into P5. RWB also in this fight now, and Rev Rob, he's going to be hoping these guys fight absolutely tooth and nail so he can try and get himself up the order. As Justin's come into the pit lane, he's retired from the session. Down from 16th place, retires as he thinks he's had enough for tonight. And Riederdal, there's another 3-second time penalty, and Lifeboat is in, so there will be no ET8 shenanigans here. Riederdal down the inside, contact made, and Dirk has to take the escape road there. Riederdal back through. But will he allow Dirk to come back through? I think he is slowing down to let him back through. I think Riederdal is backing off to let Dirk back through, even he's not happy with that overtake. I mean, possibly. I want to say so, but the gap has now stayed at a second. So I think Riederdal momentarily wanted to get the place back, but then decided against it. So, yeah, now Riederdal, obviously, in terms of the ERS, he's 20% better off than Dirk. Can try to pull away, but Dirk is absolutely throwing everything he can to get himself back in DRS range, and he is back within DRS range, but we'll have to wait and see if Dirk can get himself up the order. RWB into the pit lane now, and it's another set of hard compound tyres going on RWB's car here. Lifeboat on the set of the mediums right here. We're going to have to see what happens late in this race if he can come back through the field. His tyres are going to be very worn towards the end, so we'll have to wait and see. Riederdal and Dirk, they just got tangled up with each other. Dirk driving with intent now to get that P2 back. He doesn't need to do it on track though, so I mean the last thing Dirk wants to do is risk his race for the sake of a position on track, and that is Gittens into the pit lane. He's had enough. So as long as you see the checker flag now, you are guaranteed a point in this race. Yeah, Dirk just needs to make sure he does not get caught up here. He needs to keep his head, keep cool, calm and collected. Lifeboat with a 3-second time penalty. Not ideal for him. Rev Rob currently in P7. He's going to be very happy to see that Lifeboat's picked up a penalty in behind. Medal into the pit lane. So they are going for the two-stop strategy. The ground effect spec racing team. So we'll see how that pays off. Their tyres will definitely be much better off compared to everyone's ahead of them. But have they just given up too much in terms of the track time? That's going to be the question. But now Dirk all over the back of Rydell with DRS, with ERS. This should be a simple overtake for the Shazoo driver as they come down. Oh, contact made between the pair of them as Rydell comes across to try and squeeze Dirk into the wall. Absolutely no love lost between these two drivers at all, as the elbows are well and truly out and the tempers are beginning to flare. Lifeboat trying his best to close up onto the back of Rev Rob, and if I'm Rev Rob, I'm actually, as long as I can stay within DRS or a couple of laps on Lifeboat, I'm kind of okay with Lifeboat going ahead. That'll be my thoughts if I am Rev Rob, because you don't want to lose out on DRS. As Julian's into the pit, he's retired. The point that he could have gained is now gone and out the window, as we're about to have another battle between Dirk and Rydell. As with DRS, here comes Rydell. Moves to the inside. And Dirk will concede that position there. Lifeboat getting through on Rev Rob. Up into a P7 goes the ETA driver now, as he goes charging after the likes of Ticho, Schumacher and Thiago. Rev Rob will be hoping he can stay with Lifeboat just to tow him along, and we'll see if Rev Rob will be able to jump any positions in terms of the penalties late into this race. But he's already floating around that 1 second, and yeah, I think he might have oh, actually he had a good run for the chicane there, so he is sticking with the DRS right now. He just needs to make sure he does not lose it here, and I think he might have just lost it. Yes, he has. Rev Rob has unfortunately just lost out on DRS. He needs a good chicane to get himself back within it here now, and I don't think he's got it. No, he does not. As RWB on the fresh hard compound tyres making work on Ivan for P9. As Tony reaches into the pit lane, so it is looking like the two-stop strategy, and another set of hards going on for Tony Arish. He should be out though, ahead of the likes of Schumacher. If he comes in behind them, it's going to be, oh, it's a difficult one now for Tony Arish. As in fact, no, it's not. Schumacher gets clean out the way immediately. Wants no issues with the man fighting for the race win. The net race leader in Tony Arish here, possibly going for the fastest lap, knowing that he has the gap to make a pit stop and come back and still win the race. But Thiago is actually going to make things difficult here for Tony Arish, as Rydell, another 3-second time penalty for him. Tony Arish down the inside. Thiago tries to hang it around the outside, but yet no chance there for Thiago as Schumacher and Ticho both lose out on DRS, and that's allowed Lifeboat just to go sweeping through on Schumacher, and potentially now he'll be able to get the move done on Ticho here, but Ticho has got DRS. Schumacher is in. And to set the soft compound tyres now for Schumacher. I'll tell you what, if I am Rev Rob or Medal right now, you are absolutely praying for a late safety car. If you are these guys, obviously, if you are Dirk and Tony Reich, you probably wouldn't mind the safety car, just because Ryderdal will lose more positions due to the 3-second time penalties. But they'll also be wary of these guys in behind that only have 3 seconds and the potential that they could cause in their races. There goes Lifeboat looking to the outside line on Thiago, but no avail right there. Tony Reich, fastest lap of the race. Here goes Lifeboat now to the inside line on those mediums. He's gonna try to make the move stick, but look at that. Thiago really getting the elbows out and defending like an absolute trooper there on his 18-lap-old hard compound tyres. This is the 7-lap-old medium compound. Thiago really putting on a defensive clinic right there against Lifeboat, and now Ticho in behind looking for an opportunity. And the more these guys battle, the better this could be for Rev Rob. Penalty free right now, but look at that, Dirk getting out of the way of Tony Reich, and that is going to free Tony Reich to go and try for the overtake down the back straight before the final chicane. And if Tony Reich gets his move done, which I assume he will here, job done. I think Tony Reich now will just sail off into the sunset, as Lifeboat does get the move done on Thiago down the back straight also. So Lifeboat now up into P4. Ticho, 3-second time penalty along with KJ. Rev Rob would have seen that, and he'd be very thankful to see that pop up. Schumacher, 3-second time penalty. He's down in P10 trying to carve his way through the field on those soft compound tyres, but right now he's just not going to be making up the ground. Lap 30 of 35. It is looking like it's going to be a Shazoo 1-2 once again, with Tony Reich leading the way. Ryderdal right now in P2, but with the time penalties, he will drop behind Dirk. As RWB on his fresh tyres now starting to close up. Is there any hope now for RWB towards the end of this race to get himself in this fight with these 3 drivers in front of him? It'll be interesting as Ryderdal keeps it on the inside, and Dirk takes a right in action, goes onto the runoff. And Ryderdal is really doing everything he can to make sure that he keeps P2 on track here. Of course, I think he, like, obviously going into that corner, we wasn't there for the approach into the corner, but he definitely seemed alongside enough that he did have the right to defend his position. And of course, 2 into 1 through that chicane just does not work. Dirk wisely backing out and going on to the runoff. And I think Ryderdal, the mindset is simple. Get his elbows out. And if Dirk picks up himself up a 3-second time penalty, back him up into Lifeboat. I think that is the strategy right now for Ryderdal. He's got to force Dirk into mistakes. And if he does so, then of course Dirk will get backed up into Lifeboat, I would imagine. But Lifeboat needs to close in a lot more, which unfortunately he's just not able to do. No DRS, and the tyres he is starting to lose the advantage of the mediums now. Meanwhile, I did wonder if RWB would have enough to get himself back in this fight. He has managed to get himself back in it. And Rev Rob, obviously, he's around about 3.6, 3.7 off the back of Ticho here. So if RWB battles the two TF10 guys up ahead, it opens the door for Rev Rob here. So the battle for P5 is just about to heat up, guys. RWB definitely has the advantage in terms of the grip. He's going for the two-stop. Those in front of him are on a one-stop strategy. And you're seeing just how much more grip that RWB has compared to these guys in front. As now, in the closing stages of this race, we are going to see what is going to happen between Tiago, Ticho, RWB and Rev Rob. Now remember, Rev Rob come from the back of the field and he's coming up the order. As here goes RWB, he's going to be on the outside, but oh, Ticho's going to try and hang it down the inside. They're slowing each other up. And RWB does get through. How much time does Rev Rob gain there? Oh, he gains a good couple of tenths through that chicane. And now, will Tiago let RWB go to try and preserve the possibility of staying ahead of Rev Rob here? Oh, Ryderdal's facing the wrong way. Ryderdal facing the wrong way. Heartbreak for the ET8 man as he gets himself pointed in the right direction. And I think that is just absolutely solidified now. The 1-2 for the Shazoo pairing. We didn't see what happened there to Ryderdal, but... oh, as Rev Rob's around. I wonder what's happened there with Rev Rob. Oh, puncher! Puncher for Rev Rob. Is there a puncher on Ryderdal as well? No puncher for Ryderdal as of yet, but we are approaching puncher territory now. Okay, so... right now, Tony Reich, absolutely fine. He's getting to the end, no issues. Dirk, Ryderdal's just got himself a puncher. And Dirk pitted the same lap. Dirk could be closing in on puncher territory. Lifeboat. How many laps has he got left in those mediums? I wonder. RWB, he'll be fine. Tiago, Ticho. How much more have they got in their tyres? As we got a caution there, and that is KJ who's around as Tony Reich begins the final lap of the race. Heartbreak for Rev Rob. It was looking so good for him, but that puncher absolutely it's heartbreaking for him. It really is. As we got Schumacher on the back of Ryderdal here on the final lap of the race. Schumacher. Oh, contact made. There's more contact coming through turn number 1 there between Schumacher and Ryderdal. Oh, I have a feeling there's going to be some words in the stewards. As we're going to go on board with Tony Reich, who has driven an absolute stellar race. No issues whatsoever. And Lifeboat's around. Lifeboat's around. Lifeboat is around. And the podium is going the way of RWB now. But Tony Reich will cross the line to take victory here in Canada. His teammate, Dirk, as long as he doesn't get a mammoth penalty in the final corner. He's definitely going to be seeing that through, and he'll take P2 in this race. RWB making the two-stop work for him, comes through, and he'll collect the final podium position right there. Lifeboat ahead of Thiago. Actually, no, Thiago gets ahead of the Lifeboat. Lifeboat drops down to P5. Ryder up to 7th ahead of Schumacher. Medal up to 7th. Ivan up to 8th. Typical ahead of Schumacher. Vanorundi in P12. So it all fell apart towards the end for several drivers out there, as the tyres, the grip, they just fell away. KJ crosses the line. Rev Rob, will he get the fast lap? I don't think so. But what could have been for Rev Rob, and without that puncher though, that would have been. I feel bad for the Indian Motorsports driver. That puncher, I don't think was deserved for him, but it is the way the cookie crumbles sometimes in racing. But it is Tony Arish that does stand on the top step of the podium. The driver of the game, voted by the in-game fans, is of course RWB. But Tony Arish, a grand slam in points here today. Pole position, fastest lap, race victory. He can go away happy with that one. And it is a clean sweep for Shazoo Cedar Igniters as well. A 1-2 in qualifying, a 1-2 in the race. The pole position of fastest lap going the way of Shazoo Cedar Igniters. RWB in P3 with Thiago in P4. Lifeboat in P5 with Ticho in P6. Medal in P7. Ivan in P8. Rydell P9. And Typical complete in the top 10. Outside the top 10 we have Schumacher in 11th. Vanorundi in 12th. Rev Rob in 13th, KJ 14th, and Julian, Gaetan, and Justin, our three non-finishers here tonight in 15th, 16th, and of course 17th. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Ladies and gentlemen, what an end to that race. It had a little bit of everything. Elbows going out towards the end as we were seeing people battle fiercely for their position. Punchers coming through to plague certain drivers. And just the grip going on tyres. It had a little bit of everything. No safety cars as well, which is always great to see. And yeah, what a race if you're a supporter of Shazoo Cedar Igniters. I mean, a 1-2 in qualifying, a 1-2 in the race, and the fastest lap collected. Maximum points taken for Shazoo Cedar Igniters here tonight. And with Ryderdal and Lifeboat falling down the order, a big gap is beginning to form in the championship. But guys, where will we be going to next? I wonder. I am not entirely sure where we are heading to next. Round number 7 has yet to be announced. It is coming soon, so we'll have to wait and see where we're going to be going and when we will be going. As I'm not sure if next week we are racing or if we are going to be having a break. I mean, I don't know. But guys, whether it is next week or the week after, we will be here to bring you the action in the CTC Console Championship. I have been Michael Edwards. Once again, a massive thank you to our sponsors in Pivot Media, Virtual Setup Engineer, and of course Gridfinder. Ladies and gentlemen, I will be back with round number 7, wherever we'll be going. But until then, it is good night from me. Good night.